Speech number 6, all about vocal variety. When they make me the king of Toastmasters International, I'm going to make vocal variety speech number 10 or maybe number 11, because I think vocal variety is absolutely the most difficult part of putting together a speech. Because your voice is the link between you and your listeners, is the primary medium that you use to convey your message. So at the same time that I put it as speech number 10, it's something that we have to be constantly aware of the entire time. Having a pleasant voice, having one that's easy to listen to, having one that broadcasts, I think is all important. To be forceful, easily heard, you have to deal with your posture, you have to deal with your breathing. There's other things that we look at. But let's start with your speech, Tim, and especially that first story. It was a dark and stormy night. If vocal variety is tough, I think the most difficult part of vocal variety is voice, is using first-person dialogue. Now, in that opening story, you had actually 4 different voices that you could use. You had whoever was talking to the captain, that was probably the pilot of the ship. So you had the pilot, the captain, you had the lighthouse, and then you had the captain talking to himself. So you had 4 opportunities to shift gears and change your voice in 4 different times and 4 different ways. They need to be distinct so we know who's talking when. Now there are other physical ways that you can do that, but if I'm just listening to you, make sure that I can hear those voices succinctly. If you've got a female voice you didn't hear, but if you've got a female voice, raise the pitch. The captain might have a much deeper voice than the poor little guy in the lighthouse, so be aware of that. There were other opportunities to practice this first-person voice in your speech, especially when you got to the Christmas tree farm, your uncle. When you use the quote about that Albert Einstein made, you could use Albert Einstein in first person. You could make that a quote. We got a laugh when it came to the story about your wife, and that was a great story. Identify her by name so we get to know her a little bit better, so she becomes a little bit more alive, but also use her voice in first person. There are opportunities not only for voice but also for humor as well, and develop that, because a lot of the humor, as we saw in Julie's speech, isn't necessarily from telling a story. It's by throwing out an incident or something that happened that could be humorous. And the way that your wife responded to the where's that extra time, that was funny, and you could develop that. Your pace was good, your eye contact was great, you used pauses, that's one of the things you were looking for. Humor was good, but work on it. Overall flow of the presentation was super. Key element number 1 to working with voice is practice and listen to a voice recorder. Listen back to it, close your eyes and listen. Thanks, great job.